भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं गौरवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ ॐ ब्रह्मादेवानां प्रथमः सम्बभूव। ॐ ब्रह्मादेवानां प्रथमः सम्बभूव। विश्वस्य कर्ता भुवनस्य गोप्ता विश्वस्य कर्ता भुवनस्य गोप्ता सब्रह्म विद्यां सर्वविद्या प्रतिष्ठां सब्रह्म विद्यां सर्वविद्या प्रतिष्ठां अथर्वाय ज्येष्ठपुत्राय प्राह अथर्वाय ज्येष्ठपुत्राय प्राह अथर्वणेयां प्रवदेत ब्रह्मा अथर्वणेयां प्रवदेत ब्रह्मा तां पुरोवाचाङ्गिरे ब्रह्मविद्यां तां पुरोवाचाङ्गिरे ब्रह्मविद्यां सब्भारद्वाजाय सत्यवाहाय प्राह सब्भारद्वाजाय सत्यवहाय प्राह भारद्वाजो अंगिरसे परावराम भारद्वाजो अंगिरसे परावराम। As we saw yesterday, paravaram vidyam angirase praha. Okay. So there is a mention of Brahma Vidya twice. Brahma taught Brahma Vidya. So Atharva taught to Angira, and that Angira taught to Satyavaha of Bharadwaja Gotra. But then when he taught Bharadwaja Gotra Angira, there is no mention that Brahma Vidya, but it is implied by the word Paravara. Paravara means that which comes through teacher taught. Parampara, tradition of teacher, student tradition. That Vidya. Generally, Avara means lower. But here, Avara is in the sense of later, Paravara. One who gained earlier, and later that person, the teacher, passed on to the student. That is called Paravara. Now, just a little explanation, little extra here. There is a tradition that teacher sits on an upper platform and student sits on a lower platform. There is little significance on it. Yesterday I was mentioning about it. What is the significance? This Vidya, knowledge, is a flow. Though there is a mention here of the word praha, that both the two mantras uses the word praha. स ब्रह्म विद्या सर्व विद्या प्रतिष्ठाम ज्येष्ठ अथर्वणे अथर्वाय ज्येष्ठ पुत्राय प्राहा. Here also the word is praha. And purovacha, he said. Vacha means said. Praha also means said. But it is not in a sense of saying. He taught. In Vidya, he is taught till the student understands. Till students gains the vision. That is, up to that, teacher continues teaching. There is a niyama. Na shishyaya, na prusthaya. Deyam. Unless one asks for, unless one is a disciple, one should not teach this Vidya. But when someone is asked for, one should continue even further till the student understands. That's what we see in Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna continued teaching. So many chapters of the Gita begin without question of Arjuna. But Lord kept on teaching him till Arjuna understood. And in the end, he asked him, Kaschid Agnana Sammoha Pranashtaste Dhananjaya. O Dhananjaya, the moha born out of ignorance, delusion, confusion that you had is removed. When Arjuna said yes, then the Lord stopped. So praha, uvacha is not, you cannot translate said. He taught. And you have to put a comma, taught till the student understood. So, as Puja Swamiji used to say this, knowledge travels from head to head through mouth and ears. So now the knowledge travels from head to head through mouth and ears. So that is called communication. That is called teaching. And sitting down, though symbolic, but it conveys something. We also have different niyamas. Those of you who are attending Gujarati classes of Mataji, that you have the same verse, Tad Viddhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya. Shraddhavan Labate Gnanam Tatparah Sanyatendri, etc. Verses are there, statements of Bhagavan. What Bhagavan says, may you know by Pranipata, Dirga Namaskara, Pariprashna, raising a proper question, and Seva. These are all external lingas, Pranipata, Pariprashna, Seva. But internal frame, internal mindset, what should be that? Therefore the Bhagavan says, Shraddhavan labate gnanam tatparah sanyatendri. There is a common, very popular misconception. Why should we do seva to Guru? Why they have niyam of seva? Why should we have Saranagati, Pranipata, Dirga Namaskara, etc.? Look, this is not the niyama of the Gurus. This is a niyama of Vidya. This is a niyama of knowledge. This is the need for gaining the knowledge. Very beautiful word Shankaracharya ji writes there. When the students, that the Vakya, while writing a Bhashya on that shloka, Tad Viddhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Seva, explains, writes Pranipata, Dirga Namaskara, Pariprashna, etc. Then he says this. Etena avarjitaha vashikrutaha upadeksha. Acharya becomes vashikrut. Vasha, of whose students vasha? Meaning thereby The knowledge is equated to Gangaji. Gnana Ganga, we call it. The knowledge naturally flows from the teacher to student when the teacher finds the student adhikari. The student has proper attitude, proper values, proper acharas. Then teacher cannot contain the knowledge with himself or herself. That's what Shankaracharya says. He cannot stop it. That is why this Gita, we call it Gitaji. Gita means that was sung. And in the praise of Bhagavad Gita, we say this. Gita sugita kartavya kimanya shastra vistarai. You should study Gita well. Sugita kartavya. You should assimilate, own up the knowledge of Gita. Why? What is Gita? Ya swayam padmanabhasya. Padmanabha means Krishna, Narayana. Mukha Padmat, from his face, Vinisruta, which came out, which slipped out. Bhagavan, in the Gita, the wisdom of Gita just slipped out of the mouth of Lord Krishna when Arjuna said, Shishyasteham sadhimam prapannam. And there was a right person in the front of the teacher, the knowledge flows. So, what is, they say, who is a good student? The only one definition. Seeing whom teacher feels like teaching. Or as Puja Swamiji would say, when teacher looks for that person in the class, there is a good student. When teacher looks for that person, whether he or she is there in the class or not, you are a qualified student for knowledge. And when you are ready, knowledge flows. Teacher cannot hold it. It cannot be kept with him. That is the nature of the knowledge. So pranipata, pariprashna, seva is not the rule of the guru, of the gurus or brahmanas or teachers, rishis. This is the rule of the knowledge. If you want the knowledge to flow from head to head, if you want to open the channel from this head to that head, you have to be with this attitude, Shraddhavan labhate gnanam tatparah sanyatendriya. You have to have these forms, pranipata, pariprashna, and seva. So, when he says praha, that taught, that means it was the student in front of him was adhikari, ready for knowledge. And taught means what? This is how it is taught, how it is transferred. As I said, knowledge goes from head to head. There are two things in it. It can come out, knowledge can come out, but it can travel from head to head only if the teacher knows the sampradaya. Okay? So, knowledge transfer takes place when teachers knows how to handle the words, what words not to use rather than what to say. Teacher knows what not to say and how to say, then the teaching is something which eliminates the confusion. Otherwise, when the words are not handled properly, teaching causes more confusion than what was before. The confusion becomes confounded. Immortality, maternity, paternity, Swami Dayanji would say. So that is a sampradaya with acharya. Shrotriyaha brahmanishtaha acharya is necessary because then only teaching takes place. Anyway, coming back to this, sampraha, Brahma Vidya praha. And that is why sitting up and sitting down. Sitting down implies the prafvibhava, the readiness on the part of the student to receive preparedness on the part of the Shishya to receive the knowledge. And when he is fit to receive, knowledge flows like this. And as I said, teacher cannot contain it with himself. That is why they are called Ahetuka Daya Sindhavaha. They are the ocean of compassion. And that compassion flows out in terms of teaching, in terms of communicating the vision. And that compassion is without any agenda. The love is without any agenda. Ahetukaha. That ahetuka daya sindhavaha, the knowledge comes out. Mukha padmat vinisruta. Gita just slipped out from the heart of Krishna. Bhagavan says, Gita me hridayam partha. Oh Arjuna, Gita is my heart. And that heart slipped out. You know, they say in English, I almost had my heart in my mouth. Heart in my mouth. We have not in my mouth, my heart went to his ears, teacher would say. When a teacher finds a proper student ready to receive, his heart, that is Brahma Vidya, gets into the ears of the student. So, Ravaram, Brahma Vidyam Praha. So, lower is not in a sense of quality, but then in a sense of later, in a sense of preparedness to learn, readiness to gain on the part of the student. And teacher knows the tradition, teacher knows the methodology of teaching. Okay. Having said that, the next mantra we'll just chant and continue further. Om Shaunako Havai Mahashalah. Om Shaunako Havai Mahashalah. Angirasam Vidivat Upasanna Papracha. Angirasam Vidivat Upasanna Papracha. Kasminnu Bhagavo Vignate. Kasminnu Bhagavo Vignate. Sarvamidam Vignatam Bhavatiti. Sarvamidam Vignatam Bhavatiti. Om Shaunako Havai Mahashalah. Angirasam Vidivat Upasanna Papracha. Om Shaunako Havai Mahashalah. Angirasam Vidivat Upasanna Papracha. Kasminnu Bhagavo Vignate Sarvamidam Vignatam Bhavatiti. Kasminnu Bhagavo Vignate Sarvamidam Vignatam Bhavatiti. Shaunakaha Angirasam Upasannaha. Shaunaka Rishi approached to Angirasa Rishi, the last teacher mentioned, the one who was a student in the last mantra. He approached Angirasam and Papracha. He asked the question. What's the question? Kasmin, and another adjective of Shaunaka. Who is Shaunaka? Mahashalaha Shaunaka. Vidivat Angirasam Upasannaha. That Mahashala Shaunaka approached Angirasa and as per the stipulation, Vidivat asked Papracha. He asked to Shaunaka, Angirasa Rishi. What did he ask? Kasmin Vignate Sarvam Vignatam Bhavati. Hey Bhagavan. Is the address Sambodhana. O teacher, knowing which, knowing what, everything becomes known. Please tell me that. Okay? Tasminnu Bhagavo Vignate Sarvamidam vignatam bhavati. Hey Bhagavan, tell me, what is it that knowing which everything becomes known, he comes to. Now we saw Mahashalaha has two meanings, who had big Yagnashala or can be Pakashala or maybe Patshala also. Grihasthas were teachers. And this meaning of Pakashala and Yagnashala indicates him to be Grihastha. Grihastha, there are two lakshanas, characteristics of a Grihastha. The sannyasi characteristic is when you take to sannyasa, you have to give up your shikha and give up the sutra, yagnopavitam. Shikha sutra tyagi sannyasi. Giving up yagnopavitam means there is no Vedika karma. Janai, what we call it, yagnopavitam gives one right adhikara to perform Agni Karya, fire rituals. One can perform fire rituals only if one has Yagnopavita. And the Shikha gives you right for Smarta, Udaka, etc. karma, brahmachari. So both being given up is a sannyasi. To have both is a grahastha. So he had a big pakshala, that means so many atithis coming to him, guests coming, and he was feeding people, annadanam. Or Yagnashala, means they were performing so many rituals, Nityanaimittikam, and just Lok Sangrahartha, etc. So, Shaunaka was living a dharmic life, fulfilling one's own duties as a grihastha. Feeding people implies all other things, take means living a life of responsibility. He lived a life of performing of all kinds of duties. It is one of the duty to feed Atithi, symbolizes that he fulfilled all his duties and he was doing all Vaidika karma, Smarta karma and Vaidika karma and Laukik karmas. That is indicated by Mahashalas. Why we have to do this? Just please understand. Why there is so much of emphasis, you must have seen in the third chapter, and we did discuss in Ishavasya a little bit. See, our culture is a duty-based culture. In the modern culture, especially in America and other places, it is right-based culture, freedom-based culture, choice-based culture. The upbringing is such that from childhood they are taught to be independent, to choose. Like I tell that when a mom, when we were children, mom will give, "Chalo, take the milk." That was an order, "Dudh pilo," nothing else. And then she will put the milk here. Not put, you have to go to, "Come here and drink the milk." That was an order. So you have to go there and drink the milk. No argument, nothing. Sometimes when you grow up, you had little freedom to say, "Can you give me little more sugar?" You say sugar is less. "Enough, it is enough. Come on, drink." Over. That's our culture. Now this American mom will say, "Honey, will you take milk?" That honey is watching cartoons on the TV, which I think he need not watch because two are there in front of him. Cartoons he need not watch. But the honey likes to see cartoons playing each other. So he says, "Honey," that baby says, "Yeah, mom, will you take milk?" I have seen this, okay? I remember the expression. "Yeah." Then look the question, the dialogue. "Hot or cold?" Hot. "Very hot or warm?" Warm. then with Bonvita or without, we'll make faces. You want something else? Yeah. Horlicks? Yeah. In your cup or daddy's cup? My cup. Will you sit on your chair or daddy's chair? My chair. No, then shall I give you there or you'll come here? Then honey will say, I'll come there. Will you sit in this chair or that chair? All that baby is indirectly taught to choose, indirectly given a signal that you have freedom to conduct yourself the way you want to conduct. Hello, Dudh Pilo? You are taught that we have no choice. We have to fall in line. It's a duty-based culture. You know why? There are two reasons primarily. When you tell your children, you also should be clear why we are doing this. Human being is called Manavaha. Manushya is called Manava. One of the translation of it is Manoho Apatyam Puman, the children of Manu. But in Vedic dictionary, there is a meaning. Who is a Manavaha? One who has Maryada. One who lives in boundaries. There is very thin line of demarcation between freedom and license. When you follow the orders of parents and do this and don't do this, the child is indirectly learn to live or to conduct himself or herself within the boundaries. The purpose of karma kanda, purpose of, for that matter, any religious life is to teach you boundaries, to make you disciplined. That is one purpose. And when you follow the duties, when you commit to your duties and do with an attitude of surrender to Ishvara or perform the duty as an order of Ishvara, one becomes ready. One gets prepared for knowledge. One is unknowingly led to moksha. Person himself doesn't know. Arjuna lived life of Maryada, lived life of duty. That's how he had a question. Yat shreyasyat nishchitam bruhitam. Duryodhana always transgressed the boundaries, always wanted to manipulate the laws, justify himself for doing whatever he was doing, and therefore it never occurred to him to question. Krishna was available to him also. But that is a grace. The day you start questioning about moksha, all karmas have fructified, punyas have fructified. All the yagnas that were performed by this Shaunakaha, they fulfilled its purpose. It is made to serve this purpose too, is to create a vairagya, vivek, vairagya, moksha. And therefore, he approached the teacher. Okay? He goes to teacher. Grihastha has so many difficulties. But then Grihastha ashrama has this biggest advantage. It is a means to prepare yourself for moksha that only Grihastha can do. If unprepared person gives up the Grihastha ashrama, in other words, the unprepared person gives up his or her duties, that person is called mithyacharasya uchyate. In the 3rd chapter, Bhagavan talks about that. So, Grihastha has, in spite of having problems, there is advantage that he or she performs duties as an opportunity to do satkarma and thereby, in Shastric language, gain Shuddha Antahkarana. And that was there because of Mahashalaha. So Shaunaka goes to teacher, desire to go to teacher, and then he questions. But then how does he go? There is one word, you know, Shaunako Havai Mahashalaha Angirasam Vidhivat Upasannaha. He approached, but not simply approached, as per the stipulation, as per the way, the methodology, the means one should employ to approach a teacher. That means as he adhered to the form of approaching the teacher, which is mentioned in the Shastra. That in the later part of the Upanishad, we will see that. Samit Panihi, it will mention how should it go, Pariksha Lokan Karmachitan Brahmano Nirveda Mayat. And then Savidhim Guru Meva Vigachet Samit Panihi Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. That will come. But then there is a form. Please understand. The forms are equally important. This is a modern Hindu problem. Modern Hindus, they don't want to adhere to forms. Neither they, even if the parents are holding on to forms, but then they don't give forms to their children that these are to be done. And the justification is, I have that attitude and value. Why should I do this? There is no need to do. Please understand. Every form, true, is an expression of certain attitude, of certain values, of certain maturity, of certain degree of commitment. It's an expression. But even if the commitment is, even if the love is, even if the attitude is, one should continue with the form. And if not, better hold on to forms. As Pujya Swamiji used to say, fake it and make it. If you keep faking on it, you make it. And that's what we do. All of us did. I see most of you grew up in India, in whichever country you grew up. On that country's Independence Day, we were all assembled in a school. You have to fall in line, and there is a flag hosting, and we have to do salute, and then chant the national anthem, and then attention, and all the Savdhan, etc. will come, orders. This Savdhan, Vishram, that's typical. This Rawaris and Bharwad went to army, and there was regiment of them. The Savdhan Vishram didn't work. So the captain coined the new word, Hazard Bum. They all died. Dila Das, they will become relaxed. That's how they were given orders. Hazard Bum and Dila Das. That's how it worked for them. Anyhow, we all did. At that time, we don't know what is Rashtra Bhakti, devotion to the nation. We heard the names of martyrs who work for the nation, or the leaders, the great leaders who built the nation. But we didn't have proper attitude. We didn't have pride in being Indian or American or Argentinian or whatever you are. You didn't have that sense of pride. There was no much respect, but you kept holding on to forms. When you hold on to forms, someday you discover the spirit. Not only Independence Day, one of our festival of Raksha Bandhanam, tying Rakhi, sister ties Rakhi to the brother. I still remember I had my older sister, 10 years older to me, 10, 12 years older to me. So I was her baby brother in those days. When she was 10 years older means when I was 7, she was already married. And 7-year-old child doesn't know anything. And a married woman knows a lot of things. So then one of those days she was there at home and she had come for Raksha Bandhan tying a Rakhi. And I didn't know why she is wasting time in tying a Rakhi and then doing puja. I was playing outside and they kept insisting, come in, come in. I want either you will do it in the evening. I said. Then mother shouted, come in. I went in. Then I told her, be quick. Out of love she tied, but when I grew up, then I discovered what is relationship of a brother and a sister in this culture. The spirit you own up. The spirit you gain, you assimilate the spirit when you continue holding on to form for something. When you give up the form, whether you have the spirit or not, there are all chances that you may miss the spirit. If there is no form, the spirit will never come. So some of the forms that our elders gave us, when you wake up, pray to Bhagavan, light a lamp in the morning, light a lamp in the evening. After shower also you should do prayers, etc. All these are to be adhered to in order to pass on to next generation. They will hold on the forms. They may not like. They may have resistance. They may follow the forms to oblige the parents. But then someday they can own up the spirit. Okay? So one of the injunctions regarding the form is Nariktapanir Abhivadayet Deva Guru Rajanam. And sometimes it is said Pragnamscha. Riktapani, you should not go empty handed to Bhagavan, to Guru, and to Raja. That's why you find when you go to temple, you carry something, at least a flower. And that's how in a modern life, traditionally they used to take the things, Naivedya from home, something from home, pluck it and take it. Now we have shops outside the temple. And then those flower vendors, 5 rupees, 10 rupees, some prasada, or say Mataji's temple, some chunri, which is nothing. Mataji cannot dry her face also. The chunri is so small and all with jari bari, it will hurt her. She is so soft. But then you carry that and offer it. Of the three, one thing is still there. Rajanam. You cannot go empty-handed to the king. That's what I found it. I've met quite a few heads of the states, country, and of course state chief ministers, so many. So when we go in a delegation, we were informed, please bring some present from here. There's a stipulation. When they invite us, whatever may be the president office or our host who has invited us, they convey to me as a secretary general, please bring something. You cannot go empty-handed to Raja. And our Buddha kings followed this. Swamiji used to say that. This empty-handed, they have to go to British, and that's how Britishers took away all the jewels and riches out of India. They kept on gifting them. In turn, they never give a written gift, which they also supposed to give. But they are meeting a king only. On the contrary, they took away everything. And these fellows kept on giving every time they made a visit. And then they thought it's a right, so they also used to convey, give this, give that, give that. And they used to take a lot of riches away. Anyway, coming back to this, when you go to a teacher, you don't go empty handed. People come to me They come with some sweet, some flower, some garland, or some dakshina they give. Giving implies an attitude of surrender. That when you give, idanna mama, that is what giving. So there is a readiness to give up mamakara. Idanna mama, that is implied by this. In the forms, he held on. Shaunaka was Mahashala. He had studied Vedas. He was exposed to the tradition. He lived in this tradition. And therefore, he always knew that when I go to a teacher, I have to give something. So that is called Vidhivat Upasana. Means when it is said, as per the stipulation, he approached the teacher, meaning thereby he didn't go to teacher empty-handed. He carried something. It expresses an attitude of surrender. It's an attitude to give up. Now, here Vashyakara also raises one question. When Shaunaka approached Vidhivat, so this word is used only for Shaunaka, not for any other student or teacher. So do you mean to say there was no stipulation before this? Those days before Shaunaka, the students were approaching the teacher without any gift or anything in the hand. They went empty-handed. No, that's not there. Shankaracharya writes, it's like a Dehali Deepaka Nyayena Purveshamapi Ayam Niyama. Earlier section is meant to just to show you the tradition. Who were the great teacher who learned this? Who were the great students who wanted to learn this? And the Dehali Deepak Nyaya means when a lamp is placed on a threshold, Gujarati ma umro kahiye. And the threshold of the door, it throws light to both the rooms. Similarly, Vidhivat Upasannaha is applicable to the students before and after. Shaunaka is like that lamp on the threshold of the two rooms. So the word Vidhivat, stipulation, was adhered to, was committed to by all the students who approached their teacher earlier and the students hereafter Shaunaka who gained this. Okay? So when you carry something, it implies that also. The shloka that I quoted, Tat Vidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya. These two hands are your hands. They are there for your seva. That preparedness to do seva. I am surrendering my Kriya Shakti unto you. Pranama means karmana, Ashtanga pranama. One of the word is manasa diya. My manabuddhi is also surrendered to karabhyam, janubhyam, etc. So my manabuddhi, gnana shakti, my emotions and my kriya shakti, I am surrendering unto you. And I am ready to serve. That means I am expressing one's own readiness to learn. I am a qualified student. As I mentioned earlier, this is a niyama of knowledge, not a teacher. If one wants the knowledge to flow from teacher to himself or herself, that knowledge can flow only when you have that proper attitude, proper kind of values mentioned in the Shastra. Then, as I said again, teacher cannot contain the knowledge. Knowledge will flow out of it. It is like opening the gate of the dam. It's the nature of the water. It will flow. It is blocked. When the adhikari is seen and teacher comes across a right student, it just flows. Anyway, Vidivat Upasadda. Then he says, Kasmin Bhagavo Vignate. Hey Bhagavan. Bhagavan means, O most revered one. O most revered one, Kasminnu Bhagavo Vigvate, knowing which, by knowing which, that one thing, by knowing that one thing, by knowing which, that one thing, knowing which, Sarvamidam Vignatam Bhavati. This, everything, this all becomes known. What is that? Knowing which, everything becomes known. Everything means Jagat. Jagat means Gnatam, Agnatam, Drashtam, Adrashtam, Sthulam, Sukshmam. Gross, subtle, known, unknown, here, hereafter, in the past, everything. You know, what is it? There is something. There are so many disciplines of knowledge, so many things to know, but there is nothing, one thing, knowing which everything becomes known. You may study mathematics, but you don't know, by studying mathematics, you don't come to know physics. You may study language and literature, but that you know only that particular language, you don't know all the languages. Suppose I study French, I will not know German and Czech and Russian and Japanese and all that. Nothing. When you see Japanese, you don't know whether it is Japanese or Korean or Chinese. All are straight line, cross lines. That's all you know. Whether in Japanese, by the way, for information, generally we write like this, we read like this. In Japanese, it is vertical. One lipi is there. It's vertically read, not horizontally. Anyway, so the student says, what is it? That knowing which everything becomes known, and implying that, please teach me that. I want to learn that by knowing which I will know everything. Now, the student doesn't say, please teach me, but it is implied. He asked a very straight question. What is that? That means I want to know. What is that? That means I want to know. And what, well, how do you say what is that? First of all, you should know that there is something like that. Then only you say, what is that? If that, how do you know that there is something like this? If it is there, then you can say, okay, what is that? You know, like I remember when I was young, there used to be unbreakable glass water tumbler coming from Africa, unbreakable. If it falls, those days we never had steel and all that. You know, it was a very costly thing. These porcelain cups and saucers and glass and all that. So they used to break. That unbreakable was something special and quite costly also. So suppose there are 6, 7 glasses, and I ask a question, which is unbreakable? Which is that glass? If it is thrown from here, it doesn't break. that implies a conclusion on my part that there is one glass among this, and there is a glass which is unbreakable. Until we came to know this, that there is unbreakable glass, we never asked of the six. We know all are breakable, full stop. But there is a possibility like that. Similarly, whether here the question comes whether Shaunaka knew already that there is something. Yes, he knew. Then why should you ask if you know? No, he knew that there is something, but doesn't know what is. It was an indirect knowledge. This is indirect knowledge. When you grow up in this tradition, few things you unknowingly pick up. Like even if you ask a typical question to any villager, maybe in the western part of the country in Gujarat, eastern part of the country Bengal or Punjab or south, a typical villager who spent the whole life in the farm and never had an exposure to modern life, never seen TV, etc. But if you ask him or her, where is Bhagavan? Where is God? If you ask in a Western world, they know that much, God in heaven. But an Indian villager, illiterate lady would say, he is in the heart of each one of us. सबके हृदय में है Ram. It's a culture. You pick up certain things. And when they grow old, they say, Swamiji, now time has come to go to reach Bhagavan. Bhagavan के घर जाने का समय आएगा. This is a time that we have to go to Bhagavan. Bhagavan's home means Vaikunt Lok or Kailas, whatever Shraddha is there. That much they know. So also, Shaunaka had heard, but never paid attention to that. That there is something knowing which everything becomes known. And now, that is where all yajnas have fructified. Now the mind is, there was some inner leisure here to appreciate the need for this knowledge. Unless one has inner leisure, one cannot appreciate the need for this knowledge. One has to see two things. Of course, that is not mentioned here, and that will be mentioned later. What I am doing, what I am pursuing is futile. There is no connection between what I want and what I am doing. And therefore, there is something which can give me what I want. There is indirect knowledge. Every Indian knows that Swamijis have Shanti. They tell, when they meet, they tell, Swamiji, give some peace. I said, you dialed the wrong number. I have no pocket. How am I to give? You are asking something which I can give. It is you. But this is how Hindus know. If you want peace, you have to go to Swamis. If you want happiness, you have to go to Swamis. That much they know. Merely Shaunaka knew there was a vastu. You know it, but then you commit to it, and there is some inner leisure. The mind is too preoccupied to achieve this and to go this and do that. Achievement orientation, karma orientation. Then even if it is told or talked about, person doesn't have leisure to accept and listen. They may listen, nothing happens. Classic example is Dhritarashtra. He listened to Gita, nothing happened. Arjuna said, Nashto moha smriti labdha karishye vachanam tam. Because that day he found that inner leisure. He says, I don't want anything. Yat shreyasyat nishtam bruhi tanme. Please teach me this. Shreyas I want. That inner leisure is necessary. Shaunaka gained the leisure. And the purpose of dharma, purpose of duty, is fulfilled when you gain inner leisure. Please understand. Inner leisure doesn't mean just sitting quiet. There is no stress. That is not inner leisure. When I say inner leisure means you question fundamentally. There is a fundamental question within you about what is it that I am doing, what is it that I really want to achieve, what is the goal of life. That is inner leisure. And one can have that inner leisure in spite of activity. When I used to take those seminars for corporate people, one of the topic was this: inner leisure in spite of activity. You can have that leisure and continue to be working. Not necessarily if you are working, you are stressed and you need weekend. When they don't know that art, therefore, these Westerners, they don't live life. They live life from weekend to weekend. બાકીના દિવસ તો ઢસરડા જ છે. From Monday they are waiting for Saturday. And Saturday night onwards, there's a last night. Sunday morning onward, there is a straight start building up. Oh, tomorrow I have to go for work. Sunday evening, 4 o'clock onwards, nobody is available because the stress has started coming. No, you live, weekend is a bonus. You live Monday to Friday. And again, every weekend a bonus, provided you have art, know how to maintain inner leisure in spite of activity. Anyway, that is Yoga Shastra. We'll see sometimes this Shaunaka had that leisure, and now because of that inner leisure, he wanted to know Kasminnu Bhagavo Vignate Sarvamidam Vignatam. And then teacher answers that question. We will see this next week. And little elaboration about the very question also. We'll look into it next Saturday. Namaste. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Namaste. See you.